Welcome to our weekly discussion of all things current in California politics. I'm Walt Gray. Joining us this week, ABC 10 political reporter Morgan Rynor. Morgan, nice to have you here on this Sunday morning. So the CPUC has met to talk about why utility rates are so high. Did we not already know why, and what did they find out?
Well, just like a lot of other issues in California, there are many reasons behind the issue. And so the CPUC met this past week to discuss some of them more obvious, like, it got colder earlier on in the year, and so demand for heaters was much higher earlier on. The panel of experts ran through other reasons that were more obvious, like the infrastructure in California for pipelines. It's simply old, 50 years old to be more exact. They said that we need to increase storage capacity to offset when the demand is higher. But then there were some panel experts who wanted to talk about more of the issues that were along the edges of what is normal. For example, someone from Southern California Edison said that the timing of when they nominate their gas units and when the market clears simply doesn't add up. And so he is happy that the governor is calling for a federal investigation to look into some of the reasons why utility bills are higher that might not be so obvious.
There's also an effort at the Capitol to increase who can have paid time off. How is that going?
So that is a bill from Assemblymember Buffy Wicks. She is trying to expand who is eligible to take time off for certain family members. So right now, under California law, you're allowed to take time off for immediate family members. Think children, parents, even your spouses. But this bill would expand that list to any blood relative, but also to someone who you consider to be family. Supporters of the bill say that this will specifically help members of the LGBT community.
Okay. And also the State of the Union earlier this week, President Biden, and you're finding that a lot of the things that have been talked about and proposed in that speech are already happening in our state.
Yes, and President Joe Biden, he's a Democrat, so it shouldn't really be a surprise that a lot of what he called for in his State of the Union last week is already in the works or even in place in a supermajority blue state like California. The president called for a national assault weapons ban. That's something that's already here in place in California. The president called for protecting abortion rights. You remember it back in November, California enshrined the right to abortion rights. He called for higher taxes on the rich, and a political analyst from UC San Diego told me that is right in line with what California has been doing for really the last decade. The president also called for more accountability when it comes to social media companies and big tech for harming children. There have been in the past bills to do that here in California, and more that were reintroduced this year to do just that. But that expert from UC San Diego did tell me that there are some limitations, right? Because the lawmakers here in California understand that big tech feeds our economy. It feeds jobs, specifically in the Bay Area, is helping that area boom. And so big tech does have a lot of influence over the lawmakers here. So it, in a way, does help to have the president weigh in, but the expert said it would be more beneficial really to have someone like the governor weigh in on that, because it's ultimately him who's going to have to sign a very controversial law like that one.
All right, there is a big football game today. I can't let you go without asking, Eagles or Chiefs? Who do you like?
Oh, it's so hard. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan through and through, so if they were playing, I would absolutely watch. For me, I'm personally going to be watching more for the commercials.
Okay. All right. That seems to be the conventional wisdom. All right. Thank you very much. That is Morgan Rynor, the ABC 10 political reporter. You can find her work at ABC 10 and ABC10.com.